It's time for Fort Worth Musical Moments. Join us now as Steve Marquardt takes a look at the music and the artists who made the city's vibrant musical legacy what it is today. And with that, we're off and running on another Fort Worth Musical Moments. I'm your host, Brent Adams, here with Steve Marquardt, and today we're welcoming in a concert promoter and a tech guru who's using music as a vehicle to help people get connected in rural America. It's something that's near and dear to our hearts here. And Steve, I'm really excited about this one. And people have been hearing a little bit through our back channels here, but it's an honor to bring this guy in to talk a little bit more about what he's got going on.
That's right, Brent. I'm looking at Kurt talking to you. I see Kurt down there, so Kurt Ryle has joined us. Yeah, great way to start the show. Yeah, we've got Sam Sabala, also known as Sam Kix, who's a promoter extraordinaire, like we said in our promo a couple of days ago. And, we call this show Fort Worth Musical Moments, and there's always something going on in Fort Worth. And certainly we're going to be bringing some great entertainment to Fort Worth, and this tour is going to be a part of that. So we'll talk about that. But it goes way beyond the boundaries of Fort Worth, what we're doing thanks to Sam and what he's already had going. And then Sam reached out to us and wanted to kind of up his game as far as the level of entertainment. So I think it's a perfect fit, and we'll be talking about that. And I also want to talk a little bit about what's going on in the Clarksville Creative Sound Studio there in Clarksville, because Kurt's been busier than well, I won't say that. I'll just say a paper hanger.
He's been busy.
He's been real busy. So, but let's welcome in our guest, Sam Kix. How you doing, Sam?
Good. How are you guys?
Great.
Doing good today.
We're doing great. It's great to have you on here, Sam. And before we get going, tell us a bit about your background. How did you acquire this love for music, and when did you start putting this all together here?
Well, I've been involved in music pretty much all my life, more from the not from the performance side, but promoting. I started as a DJ when I was 17 years old, and then I played in I'm a classically trained trumpet player, and played in jazz band till college. And the tour that we put together started about 5 years ago with some folks that perform for us, and basically allows us to record their concert video footage for a new platform that we're using for television. And both the music industry, entertainment industry, and the internet are all in transition. So we'll talk a little bit about that in terms of how the delivery of music is affected by the internet and capacity and bandwidth. I am not from the music industry. I've been in the telecom industry for the past 40 years. And then part of my training was in broadcast equipment sales, where I represented Sony business products, and I sold a lot of equipment to television studios. And then after that, the majority of my career, starting in 1996, was building and creating broadband networks for the state of Oklahoma and Arkansas. So that's a little bit about my background.
And you really have been around kind of to watch this whole proliferation of the internet across the country. Unfortunately, in 2023, we're still not as far, especially in rural America, as we need to be.
That's true. And that's one of the initiatives that we have. I say content drives bandwidth. Bandwidth without relevant content is really not utilizing the broadband. Music is content. This podcast is content. All that is transmitted over the internet. And if you don't have the capacity, you're not able to utilize the broadband that's out there. To give you an example of what broadband is necessary, if you watch Netflix, that person has to have at least 5 megabit of download speed. So if you have your two children and everyone watching Netflix, that means if they're simultaneously looking at that Netflix service, that requires 20 meg of bandwidth, 5 times 4. So in rural areas, because there's not the fiber infrastructure, they have cellular service, but they don't have dedicated data services.
Right.
And the first line that went to the rural communities was the telephone line. So believe it or not, there's still 22 million people using dial-up connections to get to the internet because they don't have the capacity in their rural towns to watch that Netflix video like people in the urban areas can.
Sam, you would think as long as the internet's been around that pretty much the entire country, maybe even, certain, populous parts of the world would have already been covered. But you're saying that there's a market that has been pretty much unserved as far as broadband and that needs to catch up. Is that right?
Right. In the Telecom Act of 1996 deregulated the internet. And that's when carriers that provided service started building fiber backbones up and down the highway. And really for the purpose of putting up cell towers and the ability to transmit voice services. So that was a primary initiative to build out fiber. Route 66, however, was decommissioned in 1986, which meant that the fiber never reached those small towns on Route 66. The fiber was typically down the interstate, and that gave capacity for cell phone service. So there's still a great need in rural areas, and application-wise, there's still, again, whether it's entertainment or precision agriculture, there's that need for that broadband out in that rural community. And they're an underserved community. I call that the digital divide. That digital divide is actually getting more and more difficult because as 5G and faster speeds, the rural community is really at a disadvantage to get broadband.
Right. It's interesting.
Real quick, do you consider fiber optic high speed?
Yes. So fiber optic essentially is an unlimited source of bandwidth because it uses light spectrum and the data goes through that light, and you can create windows essentially that can multiply the number of data paths because you have unlimited spectrum from light. So it gives you multiple channels that as you need more capacity, you change the equipment that ties in the fiber, and there's more capacity as the need grows.
Yes.
Brent and I've had a lot of conversations about given his role as a board member of the National Association of Farm Broadcasters. So he's real in tune with the farm and agricultural community, does that Tractors and Troubadours show. His radio station, radio network's all about that, the media network, I should say. And so it's interesting because we've had this conversation. We were talking about some of the large implement manufacturers, people like John Deere and International Harvester, and people like that, and how they're building these multi-million-dollar machines, but they're the big frustration. A lot of these rural areas are way out of the connection zone, and so Brent, you speak to that a little bit, and how underserved that aspect is.
Well, hugely underserved, and as much progress has been made. I mean, there was just a hearing this week on Capitol Hill in the House Ag Committee where we heard from lawmakers talking about how just 25% of farmers in this country can take advantage of developments in precision agriculture, i.e. weather sensors, GPS field mapping, like Bluetooth enabled tractors or autonomous equipment, because they don't have that adequate connectivity. And there's roughly 2 million farms in this country. So only about a quarter of those people have that access. And, there's pockets of the country where that percentage drops precipitously. And, that's a huge deal because, these companies, to your point, are cranking out new technology way faster than things can get implemented here. And it's become a big source of frustration, not only for the big companies, but for the farmers that can't harness that technology. And so what does that mean? Is it technology for the sake of technology? Not really. I mean, you think about, you saw that sprayer there. They have developed methods for being able to spray exactly precisely where there's weeds, and they use optics to be able to see what's a weed, what's crop, spray here, don't spray there, which controls overspray, controls the amount of money you're spending, which is huge, and it's better for the environment. So there's a lot of trickle down here, and a lot of it is dependent on, can we get that connectivity, and it's just not there. So it's a big source of frustration. And we talk about precision agriculture, but it's more than that. You think about things like telemedicine, which I know is huge, and it was kind of laid bare during the pandemic when people couldn't remote into a doctor because they didn't have adequate service. And then you have things like online learning. A lot of people were really at a disadvantage during the pandemic because they couldn't do online learning or take classes from a remote university or what have you. And there's kind of this old adage that you hear all the time about folks taking their kids to the McDonald's parking lot to do their homework. It's become cliche, but it's absolutely true. You still hear it a lot. I mean, they drive into town to park in the parking lot because they can get free Wi-Fi there. And this day and age, you talk about it being 2023. We can do a lot of things around the world, but we still haven't conquered that digital divide here.
Well, I think and that's interesting. So the pandemic changed a lot of things about how we live and how we operate. Some for the better, maybe some not so good, but mainly it made us much more reliable on connectivity. And so what you're saying is those folks in those rural areas desperately need a stronger source of connectivity, and that's kind of where kind of the need that needs to be filled. And that's, I guess, Sam, that's kind of where you're seeing an opportunity.
Yes, and I'll give you a specific example. I was working with the Assiniboine Sioux tribe in Fort Peck, Montana. So Billings, Montana was the only place that really had the medical facilities that people could go to. So the people in eastern Montana drove 5 hours to Billings, drove 5 hours back to their reservation for a 30-minute consultation. So it just shows you people that live in urban areas, we take for granted accessibility of education and healthcare. People in rural areas don't have that. The first effort to solve this problem was around 2013 when the FCC and the agencies saw the need to subsidize this broadband in rural areas. That was called Connected Communities. Since that time, there's been 3 or 4 opportunities for people to get low interest loans and grants to solve this issue. The problem is that a lot of these communities don't have the technical expertise to deploy the network, as well as making that network sustainable. So the idea is to be able to bring technical expertise along with the financing that will serve this disparity between urban areas and rural communities. So there is a opportunity to help solve that situation, and it's a public-private partnership with the federal government and state and local officials, where local providers can help facilitate the implementation of broadband networks. And Kurt brought up the subjects of fiber, fiber is very expensive to lay because you have right-of-ways that's necessary to dig that fiber. And to give you another specific example, one of the carriers wanted to provide services down that highway. In Arizona, the Navajo Reservation is one of the largest reservations there is. So the carrier went through the reservation, but didn't stop at the reservation. So they utilized the right-of-ways, but didn't stop to provide those services for the tribe. So carriers look at the capabilities of providing services to a larger community. So there may be smaller communities that's right next to the fiber, but that they don't have that capacity. The Route 66 towns that we have our concerts is exactly that. Because again, it was decommissioned in 1986. They don't have capacity for broadband down Route 66. So there is quite a bit of work to do still. There's new funding for the infrastructure initiative that the president had signed. And what Brent alluded to was the first distribution of this funding mechanism that's provided by the USDA.
Right. Well, and we talk about precision agriculture and telemedicine and education and so forth, but I don't know how it is in your all's neighborhoods, but I know in mine, I mean, I could walk out that door right now and there's probably within the next 5 or 10 minutes be an Amazon truck coming through here. Online commerce has become so huge, and that's something you take for granted. You're not seeing it out there because they don't have access to it.
There is a lot of inconveniences in rural areas, and I'll give you again a specific example. So if you ever use GPS and on your cell phone and you're traveling down the highway, you have coverage. But as soon as you go 10 to 15 miles off the interstate, your GPS is not working because you don't have the cell phone service that you need that is essentially down the main interstate. So there's a lot of things, again, that we take for granted, whether it's education, distance education, telemedicine, even in entertainment. I was telling you that the entertainment is going through transition. So currently we're watching those Netflix video in high definition, HD. The transition for video utilizing things like virtual reality and augmented reality requires a new standard, which is 4K, 8K. So that 4K is 4 times the bandwidth necessary. That instead of 5 meg to watch that video, is going to require 20 meg to watch that video because it's higher resolution. They're able to use animated figures and so on, and it requires more capacity. So from the musical standpoint, video has become much more relevant, especially through the COVID. So a lot of concerts went from physical concerts to virtual concerts. So with the transition of the entertainment industry and the music, there's 2 issues. One, there is no content in terms that is the new standard. And in rural areas, they're not able to view those concert videos because they don't have capacity. So it's an opportunity for Clarksville Creative Sound to provide new content, original content at a high resolution, and be the first in the nation to have a television network that's dedicated to music and entertainment that can be viewed in rural areas.
Well, and Brent, with what you've been doing, paving the way with your Rural Strong Media deal, it's a perfect fit, because we've talked about when we first brought you in, Brent, when Kurt and I did, we identified real quickly that the market that you serve is the bread and butter market for people that love our music. And so our whole goal since Kurt and I got together was, how do we get our music, our artist music, out to as many people as we can, through the waves and in person, through performance opportunities and things like that. And so, it's kind of fortuitous how all this has come together. And then when Sam comes in the picture, Sam, you've got a plan that involves doing a lot of live performances, coming into these communities that are underserved on music. I mean, you don't see a lot of concerts like we're talking about doing in these communities, but we're about to change that. And so we're real excited about that.
Let's talk a little bit about that. In 2026 is the 100-year celebration for Route 66, and built in 1926. And Route 66 traverses from Chicago to Los Angeles. So through Illinois, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. So it's 2,200 miles approximately that Route 66 goes through. The concerts that we're doing is essentially taking entertainment, very high performance professional entertainment, to the rural communities. And one of the things that we're doing is filming all of that. And it's necessary for not only download speeds, but upload speeds, because we're running a television channel. And in order to do what we're doing here, for example, with multiple video opportunities to upload that concert in that rural community. So Route 66 is really our path. One of the things that most people are not aware of, because it's 2026 centennial celebration, there are actually groups that are spending federal funds that have been allocated to develop economic development and tourism on Route 66. So in terms of partnering with private shareholders, public officials, and so on, to bring that type of energy to the Route 66 corridor. So it's again an opportunity for music to influence an area of rural communities, and the music that is created by the concerts, what I call feel-good music, danceable, uplifting, that type of music that will give people joy and happiness and hope, and so we have very family-friendly concerts that they can bring their children and so on, and have entertainment, and also experience history, musical history, as well as Route 66 history in those concerts. So it's a very consolidated and very thought through process to bring music and broadband and television all to the rural communities.
And Steve, to your point, I mean, it is kind of kismet when you look at how all the things are aligning here, and you look at the music that's being created there out of Clarksville. It has kind of a feel to it that, we're trying to bring back to rural America. And we say that all the time here: true traditional country music, Western swing. There's a revival of this kind of music here, and we're kind of on the forefront of being able to take it. And this is a great vehicle to get it there.
And we're talking about, we're talking about several places that have, all the points that we all represent geographically all have historical significance. So first of all, this show is called Fort Worth Musical Moments because I live in Fort Worth. That's a satellite office of Clarksville Creative Sound. And so Fort Worth, as we all know, and we talk about all the time, is the birthplace of Western swing. So we're real involved in that. You and I, Brent, both sit on the board of that birthplace of Western swing organization that my brother Mike Markward started, and he's doing that documentary film that's a landmark, very important film Kurt will agree with that, or anybody that's seen it will agree with that. Brent, you've seen it as well. But then you look at Clarksville and how historic that town is. We were talking about that before we went on the air, about Clarksville played a pivotal role in the Civil War. Clarksville, they call it Clarksville on the Cumberland. The Cumberland River goes through there. But more importantly to us, even than that, of course, that's super important, but is that we are rewriting history as we speak musically. And Clarksville is rapidly becoming a destination for country music, whereas Nashville has been known as that for quite some time. But we are, I think, being very instrumental in bringing back traditional country music and Western swing, and we're doing it very effectively. And we feel the buzz that's going on around Clarksville as a destination for people to go and record and make music, and soon to be we'll be performing in Clarksville. And of course, Sam, you live there near Tulsa, and Tulsa's got historical significance, not only because it's on Route 66, but it's also the place where Bob Wills moved to, and to get his music to the world through KVOO radio and Kane's Ballroom. And so, I mean, there's just all these divine things that kind of line up, and the stars kind of align, and it's really interesting how all this came to be. It's really exciting when you think about it.
Well, one of the things that we're doing on the tour is actually, this is a tribute tour to singer-songwriters of each state. So Oklahoma has so many performers and songwriters, from Garth Brooks to Reba McEntire. Our own Kurt Ryle is actually from Oklahoma as well, so he just fits in that category of talented singer-songwriters. And what we're doing is tributing and really honoring the people before us that started this musical journey for us. So those songs are sung by the new original songwriters. Well, those songwriters really don't have a platform to play their new music, because the music at these days are now listened to the internet, and in the past was listened to radio stations with live DJs. So we've created a virtual platform for these artists to be able to sing new original material, at the same time honoring the people that came before them by singing their songs as well. So it's a very unique delivery of content, and with the artists, the singer-songwriters that Clarksville Creative has, it was a perfect fit for content distribution through our network.
And Sam, you've had a chance to test the waters here lately with one of Clarksville Creative Sound's artists.
We did. It was Mackenzie McKeedy's band and Austin, and it was a great concert. People were dancing, enjoying themselves, and it gave us kind of an opportunity to be able to work with the artists from Clarksville Creative and combine that with our 66 Kix tour. So we very pleased with the ability to put these two groups together.
If you could talk a bit about the reception that they received there that night in Oklahoma.
They actually, we actually filled the auditorium. I noticed during the show, I was looking around, and some of the seats were empty, and I thought they might have left. I looked behind me, and there was a whole room of people dancing, enjoying the concert. So the reception was great. Their fans came out and supported them. And so that's one of the things that we're trying to do, is move these concerts even closer to their fan base. So they're from McLeod, Oklahoma, and we had the concert at the Route 66 Interpretive Center in Chandler, Oklahoma, which they're both, the venues that we have are both on Route 66. So Chandler, Oklahoma, and the Interpretive Center is on Route 66. The other venue that we're using is the Coleman Theater, which is a historical theater in Miami, Oklahoma, also on Route 66. So the concept is that we're able to utilize these historic theaters and venues on Route 66, bring entertainment and bring sales dollars to that community as people attend these meetings. Now, we're not limited just to Route 66. So if you have a community that wants to have a concert, just get a hold of me and we'll make provisions to that. So we're actually having a concert in December in Clarksville, Tennessee, where Clarksville Creative is located. So we can go anywhere that people want to hear Western swing, old traditional country, bluegrass, and so on. And again, it's a family-friendly concert, so the whole family can attend this event.
Well, I think it's interesting, and we don't have to go too much further into the crux of this thing, but the interesting twist here is that while we're going into these communities, you from your telecommunications background are going in there, and the hope is that you'll be providing that much needed broadband. So when we pass through that community, we'll leave it a lot better than we found it, right?
Yeah, and I indicated earlier that content drives bandwidth, not the other way around. The reason why people need bandwidth is they're wanting to watch entertainment. Television is now viewed through the internet, Netflix, and number of different service providers, that you're watching that on video servers on the internet. So the music that we're creating, every song is going to be recorded, and the folks can view those videos on the internet as well. And so the need for broadband is really highlighted in our concerts, because in order for us to live stream that concert, we need capacity that is now 4 times necessary, because we're recording in the new standard, which is 4K, 8K. And it's just really the standard, like high definition. So if you remember, television went from analog, you had those rabbit ears, on your black and white TV. Well, the next generation was HD. And so there's still, if you look at rural communities, they still have these large television antennas sitting on top of their house, because they don't have cable, or they don't have fiber to watch these. So they're getting their local channels just off the air. And so entertainment is one thing in rural areas that people need and want, besides the other things of education and healthcare. So what we're bringing is a new generation of songwriters that create new original songs, and giving them a platform to be able to distribute that not only in that concert, but to millions of people worldwide, because our streaming services are really designed to be able to leverage and utilize the people on Route 66 from different countries. So if you ever go to a Route 66 venue or a museum, they have a guest book, and then you'll see that guest book, and people from Germany, people from Japan, people from China, people from Italy have taken that journey from Chicago to LA. So we're reaching not only a local audience through the physical concert, but we're reaching an international audience of millions of people that allow us to monetize those songs with music videos. And so it's a large undertaking, but we have all the right pieces in terms of creating the content and distributing that content. And very excited in the partnership with Clarksville Creative Sound to be able to take new music, new songwriters, to be able to, for the world to hear music from America. So it's an exciting endeavor, with a lot of possibilities, not only for entertainment, but bringing economic development, tourism, and broadband to those Route 66 communities.
Yeah, it's
Well,
the perfect combination, isn't it?
It is. It's like Kurt was saying, it's a good fit, and we're just fortunate and excited that we're connected with Clarksville Creative Sound.
you know, Sam, Kurt comes from Broken Bow, Oklahoma. He's got rabbit ears on his computer right now.
Now that was not necessary, Steve. Yeah, we do have a few of our artists on here right now listening in, and they probably don't understand a whole lot of this stuff when we're talking about broadband and stuff like that. But what they want to know, I think, is how's this going to affect them? And you do have a TV kind of sort of a TV platform where you're going to be filming these artists at these venues, and this is going to go out. Maybe you can elaborate a little more on that too, Sam, for the artists.
Well, what's exciting about the artists that your group has is that it's a younger generation.
Yeah.
So they're used to using their phone to listen to music and watch different streaming platforms. So, Facebook is really an old person's social media.
Yeah.
People like us that's here. So the youth of today, they use Instagram, they use TikTok, they use Snapchat, and all those applications can be utilized and watch their videos. So you can watch your videos on the internet, you can watch it on your iPhone, Android phone, your computer, and so on, and also on that 70-inch TV that you just got for Christmas. So it's not limited to just one platform. We'll have different applications. So the musicians essentially create 4 types of videos with one song. So what we launch first is concert videos. So we record that concert and then take each song and create a video download similar to MTV. The difference with the videos that we have is that it's actually a video vignette. We take the script from the song and create a video based on the lyrics of the song. So the other types of videos is in studio recording and on location. So we'll be going to different places on Route 66, for example, the Cadillac Ranch in Amarillo. So the Cadillac Ranch becomes a backdrop for, let's say, a song about Amarillo or Cadillacs or driving down the road. So we have on location videos, we have in studio videos, we have concert live videos, and then we have our video vignette that gives us a story. So one of the things, Steve, I don't know if you're going to talk about this, but we've been approached by a group in Hollywood, and they are using the new standard 4K, 8K. They're creating animated movies designed for children, K through 12. So they're creating essentially high resolution animated movies to be utilized in our educational system. And they have requested and wanting to have songs and music for their Hollywood style movies. And they actually was really excited about Steve's song Silver Linings to be used in that endeavor. What's nice about this, and in terms of people that are involved, these are the animators that created Avatar. So there's a lot of connections with each other for music and now with film. So we're excited about that opportunity.
Yeah, and I think it's exciting. They couldn't partner with a better group of people because if they're looking for new original music to go along with their visuals, then they've come to the right place because we are a songwriting machine, and that'll be a fun project. I know, Kurt, you're looking forward to working on that. And we're heading up Smoky Mountains in a few weeks to write some music, and so we get as much information as we can before we start to talking about that. Kurt and I and John Castleberry are going to be up there, but yeah, it's really interesting. And Janelle, the lady that we spoke with, the technology there is mind blowing, and so there's also the component of possibly using holographic technology to bring music videos to life.
And also, Steve, they have the, I mentioned this to Janelle the other day. I think I mentioned it to Sam. If you go to Graceland, I've been asked to go down there and play with Elvis on stage. It's pretty interesting because they have his hologram is there, and I swear it's just like you're looking right at him, and he's talking, and you can hear him talking. It's really kind of freaky in a way, but what Janelle described to me is basically you can walk up to the hologram, put your hand right through it, and there's nobody there, but it looks like the physical Elvis Presley. But what Janelle's talking about is another type of hologram where you can actually feel, it's touch, smell. And Sam, I think, described to me about, I don't want to go into a lot of detail here on this, but I think it's very interesting that, the Civil War, they had these things for children. Sam can explain this better than me, but Sam told me that you go through this portal, basically this door, and you're in the Civil War, and you can actually feel the wind from the horses as they ride by. You can the smells. Sam, you can talk on this more than me, but I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, what Kurt's talking about is what they call immersive entertainment. And there's new light grids that basically turn the entire auditorium as a television set. So if they wanted you to experience Waikiki Beach, for example. The auditorium with their new light grids makes you look like you're in Waikiki Beach. You'll smell the ocean. It'll make you feel all the senses that you would have as if you're in Waikiki Beach. And so this technology, brand new technology, hasn't been introduced yet, will be part of what we're doing. We're trying to create a new type of entertainment venue in Fort Worth with National Hall, to be able to create a venue that is very state of the art and has this immersive type experience for the concert goers. So we're excited about the partnership. Again, all these opportunities have really enhanced the ability to provide interesting professional content to concert goers.
We're so excited about the National Hall thing because, and anyone that knows of National Hall, which there's not a lot of people that know about that place, even Fort Worth. So that, I lived in Fort Worth most of my life since I was 8 years old. Never even knew that hall existed until my brother staged his first festival there, and I was blown away by the ambiance of that hall, the historical aspect of it, the fact that Bob Wills actually played there, and it's a almost 100-year-old historic hall. One of the things we identified real quickly was they needed so desperately a good sound system instead of having to come in and build a sound system every time you want to play, especially a band like ours. And so I saw an opportunity there and approached the board of directors of National Hall. It's at one of the SPJST halls, which there are many of those. If you're from Texas, you'll know what I'm talking about. We went through the process of presenting a plan to their board of directors, and they finally gave us the green light on that just a few weeks ago. So we're going to get going on putting a state-of-the-art sound system in there, and eventually, we'll be doing things like what you're talking about, Sam. But one of the things I want to also reiterate, Sam, you touched on the young demographic that's following our music because of the young performers, people like Mackenzie McKetty and Austin McKetty, and now we've got Evie May and Carrie Romero. We've got Jasmine McDonald. We've got Braden Ryle, our very own Braden Ryle, and and Jaden Riley, and yes, those folks are knocking them dead, and of course Evie and Carrie are new, but we have no doubt they're going to set the world on fire. But don't forget us old guys too. I'm one of the old guys. You got Darren Wright, you got Terry LeMaster, and there's a group of us old codgers. I'm leaving some folks out, but I want to reiterate, if they're watching, that what you're offering, what you bring to the table is a way. Any concert that we do is not just confined to the brick and mortar of the hall. It goes way beyond that. And we have how many potential viewers on these streams, Sam?
Well, just to give you an idea, we have over 550,000 Facebook followers that potentially can be customers of this music. And what's interesting about the younger generation, the Gen Xers, the millennials, they really don't understand the significance of Route 66. So with the resurgence of Western swing, it's a musical history that they're experiencing, as well as history about America. One of our songwriters, singer-songwriters, wrote a book on the music of Oklahoma, and so I'm going to be looking at that as potentially what I call a rockumentary, but basically a documentary about music. He's also written a book. His name's Hugh Foley. He's written a book that is music and Route 66 tied in together for Oklahoma. Oklahoma happens to have over 300 miles of Route 66. Plus, we also have so many musicians and artists that come from Oklahoma. And there's just prolific songwriters. For example, Leon Russell is in Tulsa, and they've written so many songs for artists. So the combination of history and awareness for Route 66 and the genre Western swing, it really gives the younger generation an insight to music as well as history. And that's one of the reasons why this group out of Hollywood was excited, because they can create these animated movies and have history tied into it, whether it's musical history or history about the country on Route 66. So it's exciting to be able to put these things together. Lots of work, but I don't consider it work. I enjoy what we do so much that I could be doing it 24/7.
Well, for folks who are watching who want to get involved to support this effort, how do they go about doing that?
The first thing we'd like you to do is to go to the website that has some examples of the types of videos that we have. So that website is concerttour, one word, .tv. You'll have two channels to look at. The artist from Clarksville Creative Sound has a channel, and then my tour, 66 Kicks, also has examples. So people can experience the type of product that we'll be providing to people. So if you're interested in being involved in whatever capacity, just look at my Facebook, Sam Kix, Kix, and private message me, or just follow that particular Facebook profile, and I'll reach out to you. And each question, whether they're a musician or songwriter or event coordinators for concerts, they can reach out and get involved in what we're doing. We're not limited to Route 66. So if you have a concert hall, or if you want to have a concert in your town, if they're not on Route 66, we'll come to see you. And it's just an opportunity to get great music and be part of a television show.
And our label, by the way, we're probably the most family oriented record company maybe ever. We all of our artists are handpicked by Steve and I, not only to be the best singers that we can find, but also just good people. We don't. we're trying to keep our label as clean as we can. We want it to be family oriented, and that's why we fit so well with Sam on these tours, because we bring in a really clean family show. Even our young people are just really, really fun. It's fun to watch them. It's clean. It's good family music. So, man, I'm just really happy to be linking in with you, Sam, on this thing. And you're going to bring a lot to our label. I know our artists are excited about this tour. I had a girl in Myrtle Beach just the other day who's one of our artists asking, well, will you guys be coming out here? And I said, I think Sam will probably go wherever people want us to go. But it is the Route 66 tour. We're going to definitely do that tour. But like Sam said, we will probably branch out. So I'm happy to be a part of this. And our artist, I know is good. This is a perfect fit for all of us.
Well, and yeah, like we said, we're going to be doing regular concerts at National Hall. We'll be doing the Clarksville concert. And of course, one of my bucket list goals is to play Kane's Ballroom, which is right on Route 66 there in Tulsa. That's kind of the mecca of Western swing.
Well, Bob Wills put that place on the map, as we know, and it's a lot of history. I learned a lot in Mike Marquard's documentary, Birth and History of Western Swing, and he talks a lot about Kane's Ballroom. And basically, Bob was kind of forced to go to Tulsa for, I'm not going to get into all that, but he put Kane's Ballroom on the map, and it's one of those places now. I saw Vince Gill not too long ago at the Grand Ole Opry, and we were talking, and he said that basically that working at that place at Kane's Ballroom was maybe the highlight of his whole career. So it is a very historic place, and I hope we do get to work there. I look forward to that.
And we got to spend a whole afternoon with Vince at the old Ryman Auditorium. He was a major contributor to that film. But Sam, you and I and Mike, I introduced you to my brother Mike, and so you're going to be helping him promote that film and get it out there, because we all agree on how important that film is from an educational standpoint and my main desire is that film attracts a lot of new fans of this important genre of music, because if you think about Western swing, it influenced rockabilly, which became rock and roll. And so anybody that's listening to just about any popular form of music today can tip their hat to that Western swing, which started in the early 30s in Fort Worth.
Yeah, and if you recall, I mentioned that I've been a DJ since I've been 17 years old, and I'm one of your old guys as well. And the Western swing really gets people on the dance floor, and it connects to the audience. And what I look for in terms of historic sites is really a backdrop to television. So we're mimicking the past, nostalgia-wise, with programs like American Bandstand, Austin City Limits. So we're creating new television with new music, and so it gives people a chance to celebrate life. It gives people to dance, enjoy music, and reminisce. Where there's a lot of nice memories that they have with people driving with their family and their station wagon driving down Route 66.
I didn't mention our friend and Clarksville Creative Sound artist Eric Diamond, who's probably the hardest working man in Western swing right now. He's out there doing shows, and he was kind of the guy that hooked us together, because he either reached out to you or you reached out to him to do a show on your tour, and then eventually we all got connected. So, and Eric just finished and has just released a brand new album of some great both classic songs and new originals that he worked with Kurt in the studio on that, and that's a great new album. So Eric's another one of those guys. He kind of classified in our old guys class, I guess, but Eric's out there right now pounding the pavement and kind of paving the way.
Eric has never done anything but music in his career, guys. It's pretty hard to wrap your brain around that. I had him in the studio, and recording him was a lot of fun because I don't think anybody's got a bigger fan base than Eric Diamond in the Western Swing world. He can pull a crowd in, and it was fun working with him here in the studio. He's a fun guy to be around, and so we're happy to have him, and I look forward to seeing it. And he all he talked about, he of course he's got a great band, but he said, do you think I could just work with Steve Marquardt's band, the A-List band? He said, if I can do that, I will have accomplished all of my dreams. Steve absolutely has one of the best bands, Western Swing bands in the world, bar none, hands down. And I think Eric just wants to stand on that stage with Steve's band,
Well, I talked to Shane Holly yesterday, our fearless band leader and drummer and producer extraordinaire out of the Fort Worth area. And Shane is a you could call him a partner of ours, but he's the guy that's keeping that band together, and he's been communicating with them because all those players have to go where the money is, when we're not playing. And it's been real frustrating for me to not offer more opportunities for that band to get back together. But we're heading into that period where we will be able to offer stable employment for those guys, I guess I could say. And they're all real excited. That's what they love to do. They've told Shane time and time again. He told me yesterday when we talked, he said these guys love the material because a lot of it's original. They and it's very creative, and we're kind of putting a new spin on country music and Western swing. So I can't wait to get that band out there and get them more exposure, and just because they raise the roof whenever they play, and it's just so what a gas it is just to be on stage, with that band behind you. It's amazing experience.
Speaking of bands, I'd like to take just a second and talk about if you guys are okay with this. We've had two brand new artists record here just in the past 3 or 4 months, and of course Carrie Romero is one of them, and she and I we really linked together extremely well as songwriters, and we work very well together in the studio. Carrie's a marvelous singer, but we wrote some just amazing songs, and so her album is out, and we're about to release her first single. But I also want to talk about Evie Mae Lasher. Evie Mae is a 16-year-old girl. It's like shades of Mackenzie McKetty when she performs. She's just out there in the eye and the public. You're just drawn to her. And but she came in, and we recorded some amazing things on her too. So, and she has a really, really good band as well. So most of these artists have their own bands, and it's going to make it a lot easier for Sam whenever he sets up these tours. She and Braden have already, and that's Evie right there. She and Braden, she only lives 2.5 hours from here in Indiana. So, but they do a lot of touring, so she's willing to cover a lot of ground. Sam, if we need an artist to go a couple of 100 miles, whatever, or 300 miles, whatever it is, to do this Route 66 tour, I know she and Braden both have agreed to cover this whole part of the country, Tennessee, Indiana, and more. So we're really fortunate to have Evie. Steve and I made a decision a couple of weeks ago that she was right for this label. We brought her in, and I'm so glad we did. She is amazing, guys, in the studio. Very easy to record.
We have Brent to thank for that. Brent's the one that brought Evie to us.
That's right. Thank you, Brent. Yes. That was a good call on you, man.
Well, I've got some other people that put her on my radar here, and I've been watching her for a couple of years, and I wouldn't even have mentioned it if I didn't think she had the goods here, but I believe she absolutely does. So I'm excited to watch how that career is going to flourish over the next few years.
She's going to do very well on this label, and she is a team player, and her parents, what good people, man. That's what I love about this label. I just love everybody that's on this label. Everybody they're all team players. They're just good people, and Evie's parents are just beyond the pale people I want to be around a lot. Right. They're good people, and so.
Well, and you mentioned earlier, Kurt, about the criteria, especially for these young artists, because at a young age, can be a lot of distractions and a lot of things that they have to navigate through being a teenager. We all remember that. Part of me wishes I could go back there. And then when I really start thinking about what it was like to be a teenager, I'm like, nah, I don't think so. So it's equally as important to not only have the artists themselves as a young artist have a good personality, be willing to have a good work ethic, and have a good head on their shoulders. But it's equally important to have a family behind them that supports them, and we've got that with every one of our artists. With Jaden Riley and her folks. We've got it with Jasmine McDonald and her Donna and Charlie. How much they support her. I mean, everything revolves around that. We've got it with Mackenzie and Austin with Tracy and Byron, and then Evie as well. So that's a vital ingredient for us to want to bring in these young artists. That whole package has to be in place.
And and I just want to mention that there have been a lot of right now everybody wants to be on this label. I get bombarded with calls. I'm sure you do too, Steve. And there is a criteria you have to meet to be on this label. You have to first not only be a great singer, but I mean you have to be a team player, and you have to have your head on straight. We don't want anybody coming on that's involved in any abuse of alcohol, drugs, whatever. We just want to have a really good, clean label, and but we really are very fortunate to have the artists we have. I'm so extremely happy about that.
Yep, I agree.
Excellent. Well, I tell you what, Sam, it's been fun learning about everything you've got going on here. And again, concerttour.tv. Is that right? I want to make sure we get that right. Concerttour.tv to make sure that you can go check out this great content here from Sam Kix and Clarksville Creative Sound. So be plugged into that. Be plugged into our socials too, because we're going to be sharing a lot more about that over the coming months here as all this starts to materialize. And we want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us here. And I'm sure this will be the first of many appearances here on Fort Worth Musical Moments.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
And we've talked about it a little bit here, but Steve, Kurt, what's the latest here in the label? What else has been going on?
Well, of course, I've been absolutely swamped in the studio for the last 2 or 3 weeks with Evie. I think Steve is. I know Steve had to go out of town to New Mexico, and so. But I've been in here working with these artists, and I'm blown away with what we've been able to accomplish. I knew Evie was good. I didn't know she was that good. I knew Carrie was good, but I really didn't know how good these artists were until you get them under the microscope. The microscope is that microphone in the studio, and that tells the tale right there. That's where you're going to make it or break it is going to be right there. And so far, boy, these artists have really come prepared, and they are exactly what we need, and I think we're going to have success, guys.
Well, and Kurt, I think we found out that Carrie's got talents beyond the music side. She's on the total creative side and administrative side. She's becoming a real asset to you. So I think what we're saying is that she can't leave Clarksville.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to lock her husband in the trunk of the car and just make him, leave her here. I don't know, guys. She started helping me in the studio a couple of days ago. And when she got on the computer and I saw her skills on the computer, I was totally amazed. And I'm like, this is what I need. I need Carrie, somebody like Carrie working for me that could take such a workload off of me because I've got way too much going on. And of course, I'm praying that she and her husband will end up eventually moving up this way. But if she does, I'm going to get her in the studio and have her work for us. But yes, Carrie brings a lot to the table. We're fortunate to have her.
Has she baked any more for you?
Not like that cake right there. I want to tell you, I gained a lot of weight eating that cake right there, Brad. That Clarksville thing up there, that's not just a label stuck on there. That's not one of those little coasters. She made that. That's edible. That we actually were able to eat that. She did that. That's crazy. I don't know how she pulled that off.
Phenomenal stuff.
Well, and I want to mention that, if you look at, and depending on what chart you look at, there are a lot of them out there for independent music. And that's another thing that we'll touch on in another show. But we've talked with Sam about creating a chart, working with Sam and working with our very own Dina Wood too. Dina is a very important part of what we do and what we will be doing. When Sam found out everything Dina's doing with the music distribution, you got really excited about that, Sam. So, but we want to eventually create a chart that's based on meaningful metrics. Yes. However, what I was started out to say is, if you look at just about any independent music chart, you'll see Clarksville Creative Sound artists on there at various positions. I know Jasmine's Train Station song has been high in the charts for quite some time. Very popular song, and I think that song is going to, if I'm not mistaken, Kurt's going to be used in some form or fashion in a show or something. Is that right?
It's a movie, and it's a famous actor. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but we've all seen him in movies. But the cool thing about this was when we released that video on Jasmine Train Station, I don't think it was 15 or 20 minutes later, we got a call from a movie company in Hollywood saying, hey, we want this in a movie. And they even sent me a clip of the movie where the song is being played. And I thought it would be in a barroom scene where people be talking over it, but actually a guy gets in his car, turns on his radio, and that song's playing totally uninterrupted. And I mean, you can hear everything. It's amazing how quick that is a hit song, and she's going to do very well with that. And Braden and Jaden have a duet out there called Love Just Flashed that's just going up the charts like crazy. I know, Brent, I think you probably I know I've had a lot of radio stations call me and go, wow, we just keep getting requests for this over and over. So it's doing well. Laurie Lace has a single out there that's doing very well. So all of our artists, we just need a really meaningful chart like Steve talked about, where we know that everything on it is extremely accurate, and that I don't know how we're going to pull this off, but we'll find a way to make that work.
Yeah, Lori, is it Girl? Was that the name?
It's Laurie Lace. Yeah. It's Bad Thing. She's got a song called Bad Thing. And there's a great video on that. She's got a great video out there. It's not traditional country. She's a little bit outlaw. She's a little bit different, but her music is extremely good. She's a great singer. And so she's kind of got that bad girl image, and people like that. It reminds me of Gretchen, but she's doing well with that song.
Doing well. She's a talented disc jockey as well, has her own radio show. So multi-talented folks here at Clarksville Creative Sound. So yeah, we're real proud of everyone.
Yeah. Well, before we get out of here, we need to make mention of the fact that Road Stories with Kurt Rowell is coming up this Monday, June 26, 8 p.m. Central. Every other Monday, Kurt Rowell takes us behind the scenes in his travels throughout the music industry here from days gone by here. And we missed you this past week, but we're going to catch up again this Monday.
Yeah. Well, Brent, real quick, I just want to tell you guys something, and you'll probably get a kick out of this. But Evie Lasher, of course, Evie May was here with her parents, and they were staying in an RV park. And so they asked me to come out there and play this game called Cornhole with them, which I had never played, but I fell in love with it and just was having the best time of my life. And all of a sudden, Carrie Romero, who's there, and she just looked at me and she went, well, you're supposed to be on TV in 5 minutes. No. And I was like, oh, my goodness gracious. I was like, time just got away from me. But I was able to go out there on Road Stories and tell everybody, hey, I can't do it this week. We're going to do it next. But I promise you that won't happen again.
Thank you. Episode of Road Stories and on our upcoming trip to the Smoky Mountains, Oh,
yeah, absolutely. We need to do a Road Stories from the Smoky Mountains. I think we need to do that, Brent. I think that's a good idea.
All right.
It might work out perfect. We'll make it work out. We'll absolutely do a show from up there. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Make sure you have bandwidth.
Yeah, I don't think so, Sam. I don't think we got very good internet up there at all, Wi-Fi or anything. But I think we got those cabins usually have pretty good Wi-Fi, so I think we could pull that off.
Cool.
Absolutely. I hope everybody will follow us for that. Again, on the Kurt Rao Road Stories Facebook group and the Clarksville Creative Sound Facebook group. Make sure you get there for Road Stories. Hope everybody get plugged into that. I want everybody to check out Rural Strong Radio, our 24/7 streaming radio station, found at ruralstrongmedia.com or on the Live 365 streaming radio app. It's playing the best in traditional country music, Western swing, a little bluegrass with a little Southern rock and inspirational music in there as well. The place to find that, ruralstrongmedia.com or on the Live 365 streaming radio app. As we always say, Sundays, 9 a.m. Central, we feature Robbie Lynn's Sundays Kind of Country, straight out of Vidar, Texas to the world. He's got 3 hours of great inspirational country music from legendary country artists, some inspirational artists. Great way to start out your Sunday. If you're going to church service, coming back, whatever you're doing on Sunday, go dial that up. 9 a.m. Central, Robbie Lynn with Sundays Kind of Country. Then I come through about 11:45 a.m. Central Time with a 15-minute short set of inspirational music. That takes you to the top of the hour when we head on out to Lubbock, Texas to meet up with Billy Bowles, our buddy for Billy Bowles Swinging Country out of KSSL FM in the Lubbock area. And always great to hear from Billy every week. 2 hours of great Western swing and traditional country. So stop on in at 9 a.m. Central, stay through Billy Bowles Swinging Country at noon Central, and just make a day of it. And again, we got a lot going on here, so make sure you stay plugged into all our socials, the Fort Worth Musical Moments Facebook group, the Clarksville Creative Sound Facebook group, and also the Rural Strong Media Facebook page. And this show automatically archives, so make sure if you missed any of it that you go out and check it out and share it around so we can continue to build this following. And guys, it's been fun.
Let me say one thing before we part ways. A couple of things, actually. I want to, again, give a nod to Dina Wood of Indie Express, who gives our music the legs to travel to all these thousands of radio stations. And we're just so thankful to have Dina as a partner of ours and a very dear friend. She's also curating the I2I Records division, where there'll be some, I think, downloads and physical CDs available through that. And I think she can work with you, Sam, to kind of integrate into one seamless platform for merch and music downloads and for people to buy CDs and downloads through the platform that y'all are going to merge together. So and we'll provide more information about that. Maybe have Dina on to talk about that when that thing gets a little further down the road. But one other thing on a sad note, I want to just put out there. We lost a bright, shining star out of Lubbock, Texas, Emily George, who died unexpectedly, very suddenly in a car wreck last weekend. It was just a shock to everyone. And those of us that met Emily were blown away by just the light that she transmitted. A fabulously talented singer, I think songwriter. She's the granddaughter of Jimmy Burson, who's a legend in Western swing and traditional country. And Jimmy was kind of bringing her along and was so proud of her. And I can only imagine how devastating that must be to that family. So our thoughts and prayers continue to go out to the Burson family and to Emily's family. And, it just goes to show, folks, like the great Warren Zevon said one time when David Letterman had him on his show, and he just had a few weeks left, and he knew it. He had cancer. And David Letterman asked him, said, "What lesson have you learned through all of this journey you've been on, and knowing kind of where you are today?" And he goes, "Enjoy every sandwich." And so we never know. And somebody as young and vibrant as Emily was can be taken just in a heartbeat. So we never know. So maybe the lesson herein is we enjoy every sandwich, enjoy every moment, and tell the people that you love them. Don't let a day go by, and don't let your head hit the pillow without doing that and keeping your side of the street clean. That's the lesson I take from that.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it could be said any better than that. We're praying for that family, and we'll keep them in our thoughts and lift them up any way we can here. So, Again, guys, thank you so much for a great hour here. And thank you to everybody who tuned in to watch it. We really appreciate the support of Fort Worth Musical Moments and Clarksville Creative Sound. And now the 66 Kicks Tour. Make sure you go check everything out with that. So for Steve Marquardt, Kurt Ryle, and Sam Kix, it's Brent Adams. Keep riding tall in the saddle. And we'll see you again here next week, 10 a.m. Central, for another Fort Worth Musical Moments. Have a great day, everybody. It's time for Fort Worth Musical Moments. Join us now as Steve Marquardt takes a look at the music and the artists who made the city's vibrant musical legacy what it is today.